Let's get to the main event of the evening on Saturday night, and that, of course, is Mackenzie Dern. We got an all-Brazilian matchup here. It should be a really good one against Marina Rodriguez. And right now, and again, this is according to DraftKings, she is instilled as a solid favorite. It's actually gone up now to minus 190, started off about minus 170. So some money coming in on Mackenzie Dern against Marina Rodriguez. And again, these are at 115 pounds. Dern thinks this is her division, and this fight could go a long way in determining whether or not she is the queen of the 115-pounders. Of course, if she goes on to win this fight, it could set her up for a title fight. The same can be said for Marina Rodriguez as well. To me, what's going to be interesting is when they get into the clinch, who can control that? Because both of these women excel right there. If Dern can get the upper hand and get this down to the mat rather, there really is no equal with her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Of course, a black belt there. And Rodriguez, not bad in her own right, a purple belt there. The over-under on this, of course, it's a 5-round title, a non-title fight, but it is a main event, is 2.5, and that is plus 110. The under is juiced at minus 140. Let's talk about Mackenzie now again in the main event here, Nick. And when you set this number, it looks like it's gone up right now, according to DraftKings, minus 180 for Mackenzie Dern against Marina Rodriguez. The comeback now plus 155. What did you set it at initially, and what are you looking for in order to readjust it?
For me, I set it at minus 150, so I was a little bit lower on the market side of things. Rodriguez is really good, and I mean, she definitely has a path to victory here. So I would rather the bettors come in on the chalk, to be honest with you, because I think this is going to be an extremely close fight, a throwback type of fight. So the line did get bet up a little bit. It got bet back down. We saw a lot of people come in and take the dog value on Rodriguez, and now as we get closer to fight day, there's a lot of public and some sharp action coming back in on Dern as well. So there's a lot of two-way action here, but the market is saying it's closer to 2-1 now instead of 150.
And again, when we discuss the over-under, I mentioned off the top here, 2.5 right now. You can get plus value at plus 110, juice to the under at minus 140. Have you seen any changes there throughout the week?
It's starting to gradually shift towards the under as we're going, towards fight day, of course, because the finishing probability is really high. Considering a lot of lady fights, we see them go to the scorecards. Their warriors are tough, they're durable, they have good conditioning. So in a 3-round fight, we typically see those hit the scorecards, but this is 5 rounds, and these girls can finish. So you're seeing a little bit more shade towards the under.
That's why I'm surprised, Nick, when I see some of these props here with Dern by submission, talking about a great submission artist in Mackenzie Dern here, plus 100. So a lot of times if bettors don't want to lay the bigger number, right, that minus 180, minus 190, whatever it might be from Mackenzie Dern when the fight actually happens Saturday night here in Las Vegas, are these other ways to look? To your point, if you're a great submission specialist, as Mackenzie Dern is, you get better value that way?
I think so. I mean, for me, like I said, it would be very difficult to lay the chalk, even if it's 150, 160 on the Dern side. But like you said, if you look at her, she's going to probably win this fight inside the distance if she wins, and more than likely by submission, because she's such an amazing ground practitioner, right? So if she wins this fight, it's not going to hit the scorecards. It's probably going to be inside. So the difficulty is picking either TKO or submission, right? A lot of people are going to lean towards a sub, obviously, but what happens if she gets mount, if she starts unloading punches before she gets a submission finish, right? So she flattens her out. I could see that happening as well. I mean, so it's not always a sub from the great grapplers. They can get positioned and just kind of TKO you from mount position as well.
You got a battle of Brazilians here in the main event. It should be a really good one between Mackenzie Dern and Marina Rodriguez. From a handicapping style here, obviously both these women proficient in BJJ, maybe nobody as proficient as Mackenzie Dern. What do you make of this matchup?
Well, I'm not going to give Marina Rodriguez quite proficiency level in BJJ that Dern has. But what I am going to give her credit for and tremendous proficiency for is her striking. She's going to be 2 inches the taller woman. She's going to have a 2-inch arm and leg reach advantage. And Marina Rodriguez must navigate this fight by utilizing distance, space, movement, and length to keep Dern away from her. If this fight stays on the feet, it's my opinion that Rodriguez will have advantage and she will be in the driver's seat. However, to take that the converse situation, what does Dern have to do? Everything that Rodriguez does not want her to do. Dern must smother Rodriguez. She must get inside the pocket and find a way to get a hold of her. When you look at Rodriguez's past body of work, she fought Carla Esparza, a short but diligent wrestler who was able to take Rodriguez down 5 times in their fight. Surely Rodriguez knows that Dern is after that approach. She's worked on it, and the cat and mouse in this fight will be, can Dern do what it takes to manage this fight to the floor? And can Rodriguez keep her distance? It's my opinion that there's going to come a time in this 5-round fight where Rodriguez starts to become a little bit tired. I don't want to say gassed, but as this fight wears on, it's going to be Dern that's going to be able to apply the pressure. I believe she will get a hold of her. She will take this fight to the floor. And the way I see Dern winning is via submission, and I'm willing to wager it that way, Dave.
I think that
Dern via submission, plus 110, plus 100, depending where you shop.
Yeah, I love that, Lou, because again, you get better value there, and I love the way you figure out the pathway to victory to kind of increase your odds there instead of laying the minus 180 that we see at DraftKings right now. The over-under is interesting to me here because it is juiced to the under at minus 140. But to your point there, Lou, do you feel like Rodriguez can at least, before the gas tank starts to empty a little bit, at least keep away Mackenzie Dern in those attempts to get this down there and get that submission through 2.5 rounds? Do you think there's any value in playing the over here?
I do the way I handicap this fight, Dave, because I think it's going to take Dern some X amount of minutes to get Rodriguez to the point where she can actually get in and get a hold of her. Judging from that line, it looks like Dern may get a hold of her earlier and when she's dry. And if that's the case, that's bad news for Rodriguez. I do think this fight goes into the second or third round before Dern can get it done, though. That's the way I'm viewing it.
So let's get back to UFC Fight Night 194 here and how you look at the main event here from your numbers that you've seen with Mackenzie Dern against Marina Rodriguez. What are the numbers telling you?
Well, the numbers do confirm one of the big obvious storylines here. We're going to have a striker-grappler situation. Mackenzie Dern does have very aggressive grappling. She's highly decorated. She's probably one of the most decorated female grapplers in the game right now. So everybody's wondering if she can truly do it at the main event level. So this is maybe the litmus test for, does she get a title shot? We'll see what happens there. But do we know that she is a good grappler? Yes, we do. We see it on paper. And that immediately makes me look at the other side of the page. How does Marina Rodriguez stack up in grappling metrics from a defensive standpoint? And honestly, her takedown average is average. Her takedown defense is mediocre, not great, but not bad. But her time spent on her back is pretty bad. She definitely prefers to stay on her feet. And so she is going to be out of water if Dern gets the fight there. So then I got to switch my attention back to the stand-up. Do we expect a complete mismatch between Rodriguez and Dern in stand-up striking? Rodriguez is good. She is a very aggressive style fighter. She tends to push the pace on her opponents, but Dern is not bad. And so I think if she can even hold her ground for a short period of time, that opens up those takedown opportunities. Maybe she pushes it to the fence. Maybe she baits Rodriguez forward a little bit and shoots for the takedown. Those opportunities will come if you give your stand-up a little time to work. So that's kind of how I see this playing out. I think Dern might not try to go in all to the ground, like right out of the gates. I don't really recommend that. If you get into a position where you're chasing a better striker, that's not great for you. But I do see Dern having a massive ground advantage, and hopefully she can survive the stand-up long enough to get it there. So I do lean with Dern here. She's a mild, not overwhelming favorite. Basically, I agree with that. But I don't also see a ton of value on the current line. But my lean is Dern. I agree with her being the favorite. I agree with her even being nearly 2-1 favorite. Just not going to lay a lot of action on that.
Reed, I look at the over-under scenario here, and again, it's juiced to the under. It's a non-title fight, but as a main event, it is a 5-round fight scheduled to go 5. So again, to get over 2.5 here halfway through the fight, plus 110, but juiced to the under at minus 140. What are the numbers indicated to you that potentially, is there a lean that you might want to play here for the over and the under?
Not formally, but I think what that's telling us is that people do see a lot of submission potential here from Dern. If she does get it down, she's going to be working submissions. I actually have a number for that. In terms of when she goes to the ground, she's attempting on average 1.8 submissions per per trip to ground. So that's abnormally high. You normally don't see something higher than 1. Basically, it's a lock that if she gets it down, there's going to be submission attempts. And I think that's what this is playing off of. Marina has flirted with bigger sizes. She's coming back down to strawweight. We'll see if maybe her size gives her a little bit more of an advantage. But 2.5 rounds to get a submission is interesting because submissions tend to happen earlier in fights. Getting locks, especially chokes, anything not using your legs beyond round 2 becomes suddenly very difficult, certainly in a 5-rounder. So I think if you're backing the idea that Dern is going to get this to the ground, it is likely that she's going to get some submission attempts, and that could be the play here if you're backing her as a side.
But at UFC Fight Night 194, we do have a great clash for the women at 115 pounds. I was wondering your thoughts. We've talked a lot about Mackenzie Dern against Marina Rodriguez. Rodriguez, obviously a great striker. We know how good Dern is, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. And I know you actually train in this. What do you make when you watch Mackenzie Dern?
I am 4 classes in, so I don't have any expertise in this area. However, I did have an amateur boxing match just outside the Circa here at the D Downtown Event Center.
Okay.
Yes. That being said, I'm going to go a little bit opposite of you guys. When I watch Mariana Rodriguez, her striking and the way that she puts her punches together, her hand speed, her ability in the clinch to throw elbows, I just don't think that Mackenzie Dern's defense on her feet bodes well with that. I know there is the narrative that she has improved in striking. She sure has. But when she comes in with that overhand right and her head is so far down and she's looking at the ground, I mean, Rodriguez is a great counter striker and with a lot of power. So I think she might get knocked out. Granted, neither of these ladies have ever been finished, but that fight to me is more of a coin flip. This is not in the bag for Mackenzie Dern. She's got to get her on the ground first, and then when she even is on the ground, Rodriguez is able to strike from her back and land effective strikes.